Welcome back to Grassroots Media, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Gregory Contracting and Excavating Billy Kaylor Show, where we cover everything on the black hole with the Chuckey-Doak Black Knights. As always, I'm here with Black Knights head coach Billy Kaylor. Coach, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing okay, man. Doing okay.
Starting to feel a little more like fall outside now.
Feels great. Love it.
Wind was blowing today. It felt less than 70, but when the wind went away, the sun was still pretty toasty outside, I will say.
Yeah, but man, I tell you what, it beats the heck out of wearing shorts in November. I've done that most of my career, so I'll
You
take it.
probably won't have to do that this year. You'll probably have to start putting pants on here shortly in the next coming weeks.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Leaves are starting to change. It's starting to get a little cooler outside. It's starting to finally feel like football weather.
That's right.
Let's jump into some football talk also. What a game you had Friday night.
It was interesting.
Don't know if there's much to talk about looking at the score, but in a game that is 7-0, I'm sure there is a whole lot to talk about in a certain way. Take me through that whole entire trip. I know we had joked last week about going through Rod Run's traffic and it being in Pigeon Forge. You come out with a 7-0 victory, probably the least amount of points you might have ever been a part of in a high school football game. Just take me through that whole night.
Yeah, I mean, our kids did a pretty decent job of handling a lot of our. There's a lot of reasons to get distracted in that game. Traffic sucks, but Rod Run traffic's not just traffic.
It's sit still for 5 minutes traffic.
We passed a pontoon boat that was a limousine on the road. I mean, and with a bunch of teenagers, it's easy, and there's a bunch of cool cars, and it's easy to get distracted. Our kids handled that fairly well. Pigeon Forge is a tough place to go play. It was homecoming. That adds one more thing. You got to get off the field a little bit earlier. We left school early. That throws off your schedule. So, the kids handled that well. It was an interesting football game. Pigeon Forge they're really good defensively, and they're phenomenally well coached. And so, we played really well defensively. I think we gave up 88 yards of total offense, pitched a shutout. Hard to beat that defensively. Really came along from what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, really showed some major improvement. Offensively, we didn't play great. We left some meat on the bone. Probably could have taken advantage of some things we didn't, but at the same time, you get in that situation, they're controlling the clock. You kind of got to pick and choose your battles. Do you want to get off the field quick? Do you want to try to put together a sustained drive and eat some more clock? So it was a very interesting football game for sure.
I want to ask about the defensive and offensive struggles from each team also. Do you kind of attribute it to both teams scheming each other up really well? Because you mentioned that you held them to 88 yards on offense. We had you down for 179, and without a big play that we'll talk about later, you only had 93 outside of that one big play. So do you attribute it to both defenses just really scheming each other up real well?
Yeah, that's a large part of it. We played very disciplined Friday defensively, which really, really helps. They're really good on defense. And they're not, I wouldn't say they're super flashy defensively, but they're extremely sound. They're extremely well coached. And when you play a team like that, it doesn't take much mistake-wise to get you behind the eight ball. They were sure tacklers. They were really good in the front seven, line of scrimmage. And they eat the clock. They take their time. They limit your possessions. So if you have a possession and you have two mistakes on a possession, well, a team that's that disciplined takes those two mistakes and turn it in third and long. And then all of a sudden you're behind the eight ball, you get behind your schedule, and it kind of puts you off your game as an offense, puts you out of rhythm. It's hard to sustain drives that way. So, we didn't play super clean. We cleaned up a lot of our penalties, but we had more mental errors than we'd had in the past at several positions. We're missing Brayson, obviously that hurts. But, when we showed flashes of things going right, we just couldn't string it together for more than a couple plays. And when you play somebody that disciplined defensively, it turns into punts.
I want to hear about the two-play stretch that you had to really change the whole landscape of that, or the night, I should say. You strip the ball on the 14-yard line, and then the very next play you go 86 yards on a screen pass with Isaiah Treadway.
Yep.
That changes the score to become 7-0. I think it was 0-0 halftime.
It was.
And then that was in the third quarter. And then there from the rest of the way, nobody scored. Ends up being a 7-0 final. What went into those two certain plays that changed the whole entire momentum of the night?
Well, you win the turnover battle, you do pretty good most of the time. We won the turnover battle Friday night, and that put us in position. And then, I told Isaiah, I said this in the paper or when I was talking to Tate there after the game, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time situations. There was nothing spectacular about that play. It was a quick now screen. He could have very easily been tackled for a 4-yard gain. We would have been in second medium and been on schedule. He breaks the tackle and tiptoes down the sideline. He's fast to get on the field. There you go. And he turned what could have been a very routine play into something spectacular. In that situation, we needed it. So it was awesome.
How proud were you of how your defense played also? I've talked about how great your defense has been all year, and then to be able to play maybe their best game against a conference opponent and one of the better conference opponents you'll play, how happy were you with that outcome?
Oh, super proud. And not just, with it being a conference opponent, but doing what they do offensively. That spread wing T stuff, and as well coached as they are, most of the time you're going to pop one.
Yeah.
And we really kept them from doing that. We tackled well. We took advantage of a couple of mistakes on their part. They had a punch snap over the head. They had a strip. We had almost had a pick six there late. But we played very disciplined. We read our keys. We tackled. We were fairly sure tackling for the most part. And, fundamental football pays off.
How happy are you now to be 1-0 within region play? You go into your first region game. We talked about it being in a little bit of a different environment, going on the road during rod runs, and it's not really a normal Friday afternoon going on the road. So how happy are you to be sitting at 1-0 after that?
Oh, couldn't be happier. I mean, you tell the kids, you kind of got 4 seasons in a football season. You've got your preseason, you've got your non-region play, and then you've got your conference play and your playoffs. You want to do the best you can in your preseason and your non-region. You hit conference play, it starts to really matter. Every one of those games has playoff implications. So when you come out of it ahead of the 8-ball 1-0, you control your own destiny, and that's really where you want to be. Nobody wants to be game 8, game 9, trying to figure out who's got to beat who to get what seed. And if you win those games, you control your destiny. So it's nice.
I believe one of the questions I asked last week also was how you felt about your team's chemistry going into this week in your first region game also. Does this win strengthen that chemistry also?
I think so. I think so. It's always really good for a football team. You obviously never want to see one side of the ball not play well, but it's good for a football team to see that it takes all 22. And if we're not particularly performing great offensively on a night, which we didn't across the board, defense steps up, plays a phenomenal football game, puts us in a position to win. And that really, I think, strengthens that chemistry.
Last question I'll have on this first half also, was it a little bit of an unusual night going in playing without Brazen Mervin also? You probably had to game plan ahead a little bit knowing that he wouldn't be able to play, but with different players at different positions, were you happy with how they played, and do you think as time goes on they'll be more comfortable in those positions to allow you to shift everybody around a little more? Yeah,
I think so. We certainly had some struggles in that area, and it's not for lack of effort on those guys' part. You just, you got 2 guys out, 2 pretty pivotal guys with James Seidel and Brazen Mervin both being out. And you throw a lot on guys in a week, and they're also playing defense, and there's a lot going on. So that certainly played a role in kind of what we were able to do or not able to do offensively. Happy with those guys. They played hard. And I think they'll continue to develop. We're going to develop some more depth in those spots so that hopefully we can be a little more seamless transitioning with personnel.
I bet it was fun to get that game over with quickly, too, because that was a 2-hour game, I think. I think it was a pretty quick game.
I think it was a little bit less than 2 hours almost.
I think it was too.
It was a fast football game.
Because Tate tweeted the final during the halftime of my game.
Wow.
Your game was over by the time that homecoming was over in Cocke County and before each team took the field in the third quarter.
Wow. Yeah, it was fast. It was a fast ball game for sure.
Was there homecoming before the game? Okay.
Before.
I wish every team would do that also. When you do homecoming during halftime, makes everything so much longer. But a 7-0 win over Pigeon Forge, get your first Region 1 3A victory of the year, 1-0 going into that. You take a week off from region play now. You go into, I believe, your last non-regional opponent of the season in Cocke County. We'll go ahead and get a few messages on the screen first and cover that in just a minute here on Grassroots Media.
At Corner Pond, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pond can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pawn is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pawn help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greenville, Tennessee.
Pizza Inn offers contactless buffet to go with JoJo's Family Feast or anything on our menu for carryout. We also honor birthday parties and cater to businesses and large events. We make it easy. Call us today. Pizza Inn Greenville.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Gregory Contracting and Excavating Billy Kaylor Show, where we cover everything here in Lower Afton with the Chuckey-Doak football team. As always, I'm joined here with Black Knights head coach Billy Kaylor. So you've got a 5A opponent coming up in Cocke County.
Yep.
This will be your last non-regional opponent of the year. It's a good non-regional opponent to have right before you go into that long conference stretch. Kind of a good tune-up game for you playing a large school like this.
Yep.
Tell me what you expect when you go on the road Friday night to Newport.
Well, they're 5A, so they're probably pushing close to twice our size, around 1,000 kids, and it gives them a bigger pool of athletes for sure. They're not a bad football team. They do some really good stuff offensively. They like to spin it a little bit. Defensively, they're going to bring some pressure. They play really hard, so I think they'll be a good challenge for us.
What do you expect to see on offense and defense? What kind of sets are they going to throw at you on each side of the ball?
Appear to be even front defensively.
Okay.
They'll mix their coverage up. They do a really good job of mixing coverage. They do a really good job of bringing pressure. And they play, like I said, they play really hard. They fly to the football. So it'll be a really, good set of work on our front seven to pick up that pressure and make sure we get clean running lanes and, clean pocket when we throw the football. Defensively, they do a lot of RPO stuff. They throw the ball pretty consistently. They want to throw the football on that. Their quarterback, he can spin it a little bit. When they do run it, they run it well. A lot of counter, a lot of zone. So very similar to what we do offensively. Probably spin it a little bit more than we do, but I think it'll be a really good challenge for us.
Do you think not having Mervin on the field and them maybe not being able to prepare for that a little bit might work to your advantage a little bit, throwing a new offense out at them that they're not used to seeing?
Yeah, I think, we got some wrinkles we're going to, put in this week and kind of expand on some other stuff we've done. And I think that certainly helps the situation, and of course, if hopefully he'll be healthy and we get him back. And, adding a kid that explosive never hurts you any. So hopefully we can kind of get him back in the fold here pretty quick and expand on some stuff we've been doing offensively and give him something different to look at.
How are you prepare for going into playing Newport also? I don't know if anybody's mentioned Newport to you. It's a tough place to go into. It's a rowdy and raucous environment. So what do you kind of say to your kids before going into an environment like that?
Yeah, it's an important game because it's the next game. It's a big game. I tell them it's a big game because the Black Knights are playing. So it's a big game to us because we're playing. All that other stuff is what high school football is about. It's what makes it fun. Mm-hmm. Playing in those kind of environments it's fun at home. It's real fun when you get to go somewhere else and hopefully pull off an upset. And I look forward to games like that just because it puts a little extra pep in my step. So hopefully our kids feel that way too. Is
it sweeter to win a game on the road and be able to walk off their field with a win, or is it sweeter to win one at home? Or does it just kind of depend on who you're playing?
It just kind of depends on who you're playing.
I'd say so.
But road wins are never easy to come by. There's no level of football where road wins are easy. Because there's always another level of distraction when you go on the road. So, that tells a lot about how we're going to be as a football team. We handled it last week. Can we handle it 2 weeks really 3 weeks in a row? We've got this week, then we got to drive to Claiborne, which is, from what I understand, heck of a drive. So if you can put those three together and go on the road well 3 times in a row, then you got a pretty resilient bunch of kids,
Playing a different team this week in Cocke County, what are the 3 keys to success you need to carry out this week?
Defensively, we got to control line of scrimmage, keep them in front of us. Like I said, I'd like to throw it a little bit, so keep them in front of us, tackle well in the secondary, and just be clean. Read our keys. Don't let them trick us with some of their RPO stuff. Offensively, we got to win line of scrimmage, but we really got to pick up pressure. They like to bring 6 and 7 guys, 6 on a fairly regular basis, so we got to make sure we're picking up pressure and clean. And then just be more consistent. Like I said, Friday night we had flashes of doing stuff well. Hard to win many football games when you just flash offensively. Mm-hmm. So we need to be consistent, put together some drives, and play a little cleaner from assignment-wise across the board.
So this will be your first trip to Newport.
Yeah.
Being a coach or just is this your first trip to Newport in general?
Yeah.
Okay. They care a lot about their athletics.
Well, I do too. So
they
not
care
ours.
There's some
get it.
diehard fans. I hope you get
take
to
it.
witness it.
I hope so too. I love. I mean, that's what Southern high school football's about.
It is.
And that's what makes you fall in love with it.
I mean, you have different little pockets throughout Tennessee where you have Greene County fans who care a lot. You have different schools where they're more rowdy than some. Newport's kind of its own animal, and I think you can ask anybody from Newport also, and they would tell you the same thing. Newport's kind of their own animal. So is Sneeville, too, up there in Hancock County, where I just went this past Friday night. That was my first time up there. That was a fun experience also, but I'm sure you're going to have a fun experience Friday night against Cocke County.
Hope so.
It'll be a good environment to go into before you head on the road against Claiborne and finish your season in region play. Until next time, best of luck on Friday night. Thank you for joining me once again.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Gregory Contracting and Excavating Billy Kaylor Show. We look forward to seeing you next time here on Grassroots Media.